Welcome everybody. Welcome to White City Place Connect, where we're offering occupiers of White City Place a live platform from which to learn and engage from the comfort and safety of your own homes. My name's Dora. Let's come and sit. So I have a couple of foam blocks. You might want to have a cushion, a couple of books with a blanket on top, maybe just a folded up blanket. Or you can even sit with your back against the wall if this is difficult for you. Either cross-legged, I'm sitting in Siddhasana, aligning the heels with the pubic bone, almost perching on the edges of my blocks here. So my knees are to the floor, so you might want to shuffle yourself forward. And it creates this lovely kind of solid tripod, kind of grounding effect to your seat. Of course, you can come onto the shins. It doesn't even have to be a yogic seat if that doesn't work for you. And let's just turn the palms face down on the thighs. Take a moment to drop the weight down from your brain through your spine, down through the pelvis and down through the right and left sit bones. Close your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Or just take your gaze onto the floor in front of you. Bring your awareness to the base of your nostrils. This is the entry and exit point of your breath. Sense the breath here. Perhaps a slightly cool sensation as you inhale, a slightly warmer breath as you exhale. You might feel this sensation a little further up into the nasal passages, and maybe even onto the upper lip. I'm not trying to make the breath deeper or longer or change it in any way. You're just focusing in on this small part, the beginning, the entrance and exit to the breath. We breathe in and out through the nose in our yoga practice for several different reasons. The nostrils have a very efficient set of bones which act like a turbine. So as the breath comes in, it is swirled around this turbine for a little bit, purifying the breath, humidifying the breath, so that the breath enters the body filtered, warm, and humidified. You may notice if you wake up in the morning and you're feeling a little dehydrated, it may be because you're breathing in and out through the mouth. This dehydrates the body. And the breath carries with it is the vehicle of prana, our life force, our energy. And in this way, as we breathe in and out through the nose, we have a greater degree of control over where we direct energy in our body. We have a much less degree of control when we breathe in and out through the mouth. So let's follow the breath's passage now. As you inhale, the breath is drawn in through the nostrils, up the nasal passages, passes down the back of the throat and flows all the way down the inner seam of your spine to your base. As you exhale, the breath rises up, back of the throat, out through the nostrils. Inhale, the breath draws in and it descends. Diaphragm and pelvic floor release. As you exhale and the breath rises up and out, there's a little toning to the pelvic floor and the diaphragm releases upwards. Following the passage of the breath, inhaling, it travels down. Exhale, rises up and out. And your pelvic floor, which is like a little hammock, is breathing also, just naturally. Just observe. You inhale, as the breath descends. Let the belly be soft, let the pelvic floor release. On the exhale, as the breath rises, the pelvic floor tones upwards, the lower belly gently draws back. So this is a natural, efficient mechanism that's already happening, unless you are a reverse breather, in which case you may be observing something different. Let's bring the hands into prayer position, finishing your exhale. This time as you inhale, the breath is going to rise. You can open your eyes, raise your palms, and fan out your arms. This is Pranava Mudra. So breath offers an exchange between our inner and outer worlds. Exhale, the breath is drawn back down. As you inhale, the breath rises. We make an offering of our breath and energy. And as we exhale, it gathers and draws back down. One more time. Breath rising. And gathering that energy back towards your center. This time as you inhale, you're going to use your mudra, your hands, to illustrate the widening of the body as you inhale, breathing wide. And as you exhale, palms come back to touch. And your arms are moving to the length of your own breath. Inhaling, expanding. Exhaling, everything moving back towards your core. Inhale. This time as you exhale, perhaps chant Om silently or aloud to yourself if you wish, as the palms come back together. I'm going to release the blocks or cushion, whatever you have, out from underneath you. Stretch your legs out in front of you. Lean back a little bit, and if you need to release the knees and the ankles, you can do some little rotations here. And you can allow the legs to rotate right from the top of the thigh bones, so not just the feet rotating. If you have a little look at your legs, your knees will get a little bit of a bit of movement and juice in them also. Bend the knees a little bit, and then in the opposite way. Placing your left ankle underneath your right knee, fold the right shin across. And wiggle the ankles underneath the knees. This is a little bit more strong, maybe more sensation in the outer hips in this position. Shins are almost parallel to the top edge of the mat. Walk your sit bones back 1 and 2. Lightly flex the feet. As the fingertips come by the hips, lean back a little bit as if you were leaning on the wall behind you. Float your left arm up by your ear and the palm is facing outwards. And just come over into a little side stretch, allowing the elbow to soften, palm is facing up. And brushing around the edges of your personal space. Inhale, exhale. Floating over, palm is up. Inhale. Clearing away the cobwebs of your personal space. Exhale. Inhale. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Holding it here. Draw your left elbow down a little bit and start to rotate the shoulder. So again, some big, deliberate circles of the shoulder, mobilizing the shoulder joint, but also circulating the breath and prana around that left upper lobe, particularly of the lung, underneath the armpit. And then reverse this. Some big, juicy circles of the shoulder joint in the opposite direction. Stretching your left arm over by the cheek and then turning towards your left knee as you reach across, right knee, sorry. Place the fingertips onto the floor so you're coming across there. Hop onto the fingertips of the back hand also and rotate the left side of the ribcage towards the earth. Perhaps rotate the right side of the ribcage towards the inner thigh. Do that one more time. So left side of the ribcage rotates down. Maybe the head and neck naturally turn to look back. Right side of the ribcage rotates towards the inner thigh. So we're freeing up all this space within the ribs, the intercostal muscles, all the joints of the ribcage, so we can breathe a bit more freely and efficiently. Float the arm overhead. Turn the palm upwards and brush the arm away. Okay, leaning back, stretching the legs out. We'll change the cross of the legs. So your right ankle comes underneath, your left shin moves across. Walk the ankles underneath the knees. Walk your sit bones back 1 and 2. Bring your spine into alignment. We can tend to lean forward here. And float your right arm up by your ear, palm faces away. And float over as you exhale, elbows soften. Inhale, brush the perimeter of your personal space. Exhale. Just clearing away, creating some spaciousness, some clarity. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, exhale. Right arm comes over. Draw the elbow down a little and then start to rotate the shoulder. Keep the weight pouring down into the right sit bone, so that sit bone isn't lifting. Just breathing naturally as the breath is circulated around the lung tissue, into the upper lobe of the lung on your right side, around the armpit, and then in the opposite direction. We create a little bit of heat as well in the joints. Great, one more time, and then the right arm comes over by the cheek. Turn your belly and your heart towards the left knee. Reach and plant the fingertips down gently. Come up onto the back fingertips. Lift, lengthen. Rotate the right side of the ribcage towards the inner thigh. Maybe look back. Left side of the ribcage rotates down. You may not get so much movement. So rotating the ribcage, the shoulder girdle, creating some space within the rib cage that houses the lungs. Sometimes tension, restriction in the bones can restrict the way that we breathe. And then the arm comes over, turn the palm up, and come all the way back up to seated. Let's come out of this and curl the shins around, come onto your hands and your knees. Simple cat and cow, wrists underneath the shoulders, hips above the knees. Press the tops of the feet to the floor. As you press down, lift your navel round your spine. This is the exhale. As you inhale and come into your cow, lifting your heart, broadening your sit bones, keep a little bit of tone in the belly so you don't end up collapsing and just slumping into your lower back. Exhale, press down, lift the navel round the spine. Inhale, lengthen your heart, broaden your sit bones, but keep a little tone to the lower belly. One more time, exhaling. Inhaling. Tucking the toes, coming to sit down onto the heels. Hug the ankle bones in. Stretch your arms forward. Keep the arms connecting back to the spine. Forehead can be slightly off the floor if you want to keep the head and neck in line, or forehead can come down. Hugging from periphery to core. Outer ankles, outer shins, outer thighs, and forearms drawing back towards a midline. It's quite active. Inhale, come up onto the hands and knees. Leave the hands where they are. Float the knees off the floor and leading with your tailbone, unfold into your down dog. Your down dog may be with bent knees right now. Feet are hip distance apart. Hands a little bit wider than the shoulders. Elbows are soft. Spread the weight across the metatarsals. And if you wish to, you can walk your dog here. It's a nice way to ease into the tissues in the backs of the legs, the calf muscles, Achilles tendons, and just articulating the bones of the feet. Raising both heels as you inhale. Bend your knees about a third of the way. Tilt your pelvis so the frontal pelvic bones rotate forwards and up. And then still with the knees bent, soften the heels to the floor. Feel the spine lengthening. And lower the knees to the floor. Flatten your feet, but keep the hands where they are so they're slightly forward of the shoulders. Sliding your right shin forward so the knee comes more or less in line with the wrist. Both sets of toes are untucked here. Press into the hands, lift the navel, and see if you can lift up this right knee. So you're going to stretch the top of the foot, the front of the ankle. This is the exhale. Inhale, release the shin down. 2 more times. Exhale, scoop the belly back. Knee to chin. Inhale, 1 more time. Exhaling, so quite a strong stretch to the front of the foot. And then place the shin back down. Lovely. Tuck your back toes under. Draw the shoulder blades up the back. You're going to float both knees off the floor. And from both knees being bent, unfold into a 3-legged dog. Exhale, come forward, knee to nose. Inhale, take the leg up and back. Exhale, knee to nose, shoulders over wrists. Inhale, take the leg up and back. Exhale, step the foot forward in between the hands. Come up onto the tips of the fingers. Root down through both legs here. And take the right thumb, place it into the crease at the top of your thighs. So you snuggle it into the fleshy part there. Come up onto the tips of the left hand, fingers of the left hand. Draw the hip back as you twist towards the knee. You could take your right hand onto the center of the chest. Lean into an imaginary hand that's on the back of your heart. Maybe the hand comes onto the crown of the head. And the crown of the head reaches out, so just lightly. Resting, maybe just on the hair. Reach your arm over and pull your right hip back a little bit more. Take the hand to the floor. Glide the front foot back into a high plank. Lower your knees, flatten your feet, lengthen your tailbone, keep the lower belly lifted. Shoulders come forward of the wrists. You're going to take a half Chaturanga. So the elbows hug in towards the rib cage. Take the chest forward and place it down onto the earth. Forehead comes to the floor. Stretch your left arm out onto the earth. Raise up your right leg and you slide that left hand away from you so you get more space and length to the front of the shoulder. Bend the knee and take the ball of the right foot to the floor. So it is a strong stretch of the shoulder joint. Head is off the floor, maybe looking upwards. You might get a little bit more length and space by sliding that left hand further away. And roll yourself onto your belly, releasing the thigh down. Slide your left hand underneath your shoulder. Right arm extends out to the side. You're going to be here. Raising up your left leg. Left leg comes over, ball of the foot to the floor. Maybe you can get a little bit more length and space in the front of that shoulder joint by sliding the hand away. You can look up. And then release yourself back onto the earth, straightening the leg. Take the thumbs underneath your shoulders. Push back up onto hands and knees. And we'll have the hips above the knees. And just come forward here. Forearms, either one on top of the other, one in front of the other. Little heart melting pose. Forehead can come onto the forearms or just in front onto the floor, inside the frame of your arms. Melting the back of the heart. Couple of breaths here. If you feel that you're hanging into your shoulder joints and it's too much, keep a little gathering of the lower ribs. Lower ribs are gathering up a little bit. And to come out of this, we press down to the forearms, gathering the lower ribs and coming back up onto our hands. Tuck the toes, draw the shoulder blades up the back, and float yourself up and back into a down dog. Can you let your head completely hang here, like a ripe fruit that's about to fall off the branch? So most probably your head will be dipping a little bit too low to be in line with the spine. That's fine. So you can feel the difference. You can probably see your toes. Turn your head slowly to look underneath the right armpit. Still with the head and neck released, back through to the center. And head turns to look underneath the left armpit. And back to the center. Lift the base of your skull just enough so you can feel the crown of the head as the top of the spine. And you'll notice that you're no longer looking at your toes, but somewhere a little further up along the mat. Wonderful. Lower the knees to the floor. Flatten your feet. Hands are slightly forward of the shoulders and slide your left shin forward so the knee comes more or less in line with the wrist. As you exhale, lift the front shin to stretch the top of the foot, knee to chin or cheek, and then bring it down as you inhale. Exhale, scoop the belly back. Inhale, place it down. One more time. Exhaling. Rounding the back. Inhale. Tuck your back toes under. Use the strength of your arms and hands. Float both knees off the floor and unfold both knees simultaneously. See if you can straighten both legs simultaneously. Inhale, exhale, shoulders over wrists, knee to nose. Inhale, take it up and back. Exhaling. Inhaling. Exhale. Step the foot in between the hands. Come onto the tips of the fingers so you know your legs are stable. Left thumb, place it into the crease at the top of the thigh, to the fleshy parts. It kind of disappears there. Pulling your hip back in space, start to twist towards that left knee. Left hand maybe comes onto the center of the chest, into the heart space, as you lean back into an imaginary hand that it's the back of your heart. Maybe the hand comes onto the crown of the head, so the elbow points up towards the sky, and the crown of the head reaches towards the hand. You could stretch the arm forward over the cheek and then pull back through your left hip. There's lots of space and length to the left side of your waist. And then taking the hand to the floor, step back into a high plank. Lowering the knees, flattening the feet, keep the belly toned, tailbone long. Shoulders come forward with the wrists slightly. Pull the elbows in, little half Chaturanga. Lift the chest and take it forward as you release down. Second variation, left arm comes out to the side. Right leg lifts, roll over as the left hand slides away. Ball of the foot comes to the floor. This might be enough, but please don't force it if you have anything going on in your shoulder joint. Or you might slide up your left foot also. So possibly both feet come to the floor, toes turning forward. Knees pointing up towards the sky. Releasing your left leg. Stretch it long. Roll onto your belly, release the right toes down. And we'll go the other way. Right arm comes out to the side. Raising up your left leg, bend the knee, take it over. Maybe ball the foot to the floor, this might be enough. You can slide your right foot up. See if you can turn the toes forward, knees point up towards the ceiling. This doesn't want to be painful. You don't want to feel that you're pulling or straining your shoulder joint. Come out if it doesn't feel good. Always stay with the first variation. Right leg extends. Roll yourself back onto your belly. Take both hands underneath the shoulders. Push back up onto hands and knees. Hips stay above the knees, so that's your anchor. And this time we're going to flip the palms up towards the sky. Bring the forearms to the floor, elbows to the floor, and drop your heart down. So second variation of heart melting pose. Spin the thumbs towards the earth. Maybe the forehead comes to the floor. Again, if this feels too much, gather up in the lower ribs a little bit or come up a little higher. Couple of breaths. And you can engage a rooting down action through your forearms and the tops of the feet to create a little bit of uplift. Gathering the lower ribs, make your way up out of this, come back onto your hands, tuck your toes, float yourself up and back into your downward facing dog. Notice if you're looking at your toes, the head may be dipping a little bit too much. Lengthen the crown of the head forward. Suck your thigh bones up into the sockets and lengthen the fronts of your shins down from underneath your knees to your ankle joints, from where the toes start to lengthen forward. Walk your feet forward towards the back of the wrists. Let your hands perhaps come to rest on the feet. Let your head go, feet are hip distance apart. Slide the hands up the shins underneath the knees, draw the shoulder blades up the back. It's almost like you're pushing the shins backwards, but without locking out the knees. It's a lengthening through the inner seam of your spine. And then float the hands back down onto the feet. Sliding the hands up underneath the knees again, and then flipping the palms up, place the little finger edges of your hands just into that place, the fleshy part where the thigh meets the pelvis. Pressing that back as you come slowly all the way up to standing, and releasing your arms down, turning the palms forward. Make sure you're at the front of your mat. Take a big inhale. As you exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Hands onto the feet. Slide the hands up the shins. Press away. Heart extends. Keep the chin in. Exhale, float the fingertips either side of the feet. Inhale, step back with your left toes into your lunge. Right thumb comes into the crease at the top of the thigh, drawing that hip back. Reach forward with your left arm to help you come up. Now you might want to switch the hands, the palm faces up, little finger edge of the hand comes onto the thigh just to draw it back. And you're reaching upwards with your left arm to bring the left side of the ribcage forward. Take an inhale, reach up even more, and as you exhale, float the fingertips in line with the toes. Inhale, begin to straighten that right leg. Exhale, rebend the knee. Inhale, use your left arm to help you all the way back up. Back heel comes to the floor. You're going to open up this arm and look towards your left fingers. Slide the right hand onto the top of the thigh. So it's a warrior two, but maybe feels like a completely different pose. As you look towards the back orientation, the back becomes your front. As you inhale, you're going to begin to straighten the legs. Slide the hand onto the shin. Reach over into a Trikonasana. Exhale, take it back. Still gazing towards your left fingers. Inhaling, swing the hips back, suck the right thigh into the socket. Exhale, back into your warrior two. One more time. Inhaling. Exhaling. Imagine that left wrist was over the ankle. And then the right arm floats up and you're going to gaze towards your right fingers. Maybe a slightly more familiar sense of Virabhadrasana 2. Straighten up, turn the toes in. Reach up into prayer, and then as you spin your heels in, bend your knees. Come down into Vatayasana or Boar stance. Thumbs to the heart. Make sure the angle of your feet is accurately reflecting the openness in your hips. You don't want to turn the feet out too much and roll towards the inner edges if your hips are slightly not that orientated. Take an inhale, Pranava Mudra. Exhale, gather that breath back down. 2 more times. Inhaling. Exhaling. 1 more time. Inhale. This exchange of breath. Exhale. Rise up, spin your feet towards the right. Drop down into your warrior. Back arm comes up and over, hands to the floor. Step back into a high plank. You can either lower the knees or take a full Chaturanga. I'm staying with a baby variation if you want to follow me. So it could be half Chaturanga, full Chaturanga. Taking the chest forward, up dog, or baby cobra. Lift the navel, tuck the toes, downward facing dog. Bring the right knee to the nose and bend the left knee also. Both are hovering. Unfold those legs. 3-legged dog. Step the right foot forward in between the hands. Walk the fingertips forward, so stretch forward. Power yourself onto the right leg as you raise your left leg up and then lower the foot to the floor. And separate the feet hip distance apart. Soften the knees. Hands slide up the shins. Little finger edges of the hands onto the tops of your thighs. Press them back as you come all the way up to standing. And release your arms down by your sides. Take a big inhale. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Inhale, slide the hands underneath the knees. Exhale, take the fingers outside of the feet. Inhale, step back with your right toes. Root down through the legs. Left thumb comes onto the crease at the top of the thigh, drawing the hip back. Right arm helps to bring you up. So I like to swap my hand here. Palm faces up. Little finger edge of the hand draws that left hip back. And the right arm, as it reaches up, helps to wrap the right hip, the right side of the ribcage forward. Take an inhale. Exhale, float the fingertips to the floor, inside of the foot. Exhale, begin to straighten the front leg. Inhale, bend the knee. Exhale, inhale, come all the way up. Back heel comes down, open up the right arm and gaze towards the right fingers. Take the left hand, place it onto the top of the thigh. So this is going to slide. And as you inhale, Trikonasana, hips swing back. Arm comes over. Exhale, coming back into your warrior two. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhale. Exhale. Extend the left arm. Look towards the left fingers. Rise up. Turn your toes in. Spin the heels in. Come into your wide-legged squat. Raising your prayer, fanning the arms out. And lowering the hands a little bit. So tipping the rainbow. So the ends of the rainbow were in the palms of your hands. You're pouring the rainbow into one palm and then the other. And there's this beautiful arc of color that flows over your head. Exhaling. Inhaling. Coming back. Hands into prayer. Rise up, spin the feet towards the left. Warrior two. Back arm comes up and over. Hands to the floor. Step back into a high plank. Vinyasa of your choice or even no vinyasa. I'm showing you the kind of half variation here. Come forward. Take the chest forward and down. Baby cobra or up dog. Lift the navel. Tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. Okay. Bring your left knee forward. Foot is off the floor. Bend your right knee also. Just hovering. Nothing quite touches. Unfolding the legs. Step the foot forward in between the hands. Come onto the tips of the fingers and stretch them forward. And then power yourself onto the left leg. Just briefly moving through a supported warrior three. Send the leg, take the leg to the floor. Let yourself hang over your legs. Feet are a hip distance apart. Inhale, lead with your heart as your hands slide up the shins. Little finger edges of the hands onto the tops of the thighs to keep the thighs pressing back as you come up and release the arms, palms facing upwards. So you may want to have a little look at the next movement before we incorporate it into the flow, into the vinyasa. We're going to flip the dog, but once you're upside down, I don't want you to have to try and turn your head to look at the computer screen. I'm going to show you. This will come into the sequence. So we're in a down dog. I'm going to float the right leg up. Open up the hip, bend the knee, heel towards the opposite sit bone. So reverse pigeon. And as I bend my left knee, so both knees are bending, right toes come to the floor. I'm going to flip, so both sets of toes point forward, toes are in line, both feet are flat. So very similar to the shoulder stretch that we did from the belly. The hand comes to the floor, knee to nose, and then we unfold the leg. And just just so you have a little sense of where we're going with this. Good. So hopefully we're at the front of the mat. Let's slide the hands up, come all the way up to standing. Take a big inhale. Exhale, fly forward and touch the earth. Inhale, lift and lengthen your heart. Step back with your left toes and place the heel to the floor, so in a warrior one stance. Thumb comes into the fleshy part, draw the hip back, reach forward with your left arm to come up. Switch the hand if that's more comfortable, helping to keep the hips square. Left side of the rib cage rotates forward a little. Take an inhale, reach up. Exhale, fingertips come to the floor. Inhale, begin to straighten that front leg. Exhale, rebend the knee. Slip the left hand onto the top of the foot. Stay looking down towards the foot and start to turn the chest towards the right. Drawing that right hip back with the fingertips. You could turn the gaze towards the wall that your heart is facing, or stay looking down for a little double twist. Good. And then releasing the fingertips inside of the foot. Walk yourself around into a wide-legged fold. You might need to bring the right toes forward if you created a little bit more space, width in your warrior one. Soften the backs of the knees, but firm the thigh muscles around the bones. Let the crown of the head release down. Couple of breaths here. And then walking yourself around towards the left. Place your back heel down, so warrior one stance with the legs. Take your left thumb into the crease, drawing the hip up and back. Reach your right arm forward to come up and spin up the palm and take the little finger edge of the hand against the top of the thigh, reaching up. Inhale. Exhale, float the fingertips to the floor. Inhale, begin to straighten. Exhale, rebend the knee, reaching up. Take the hand onto the foot. Stay looking down. Start to twist the chest. You can slip the thumb into the crease there, keeping that hip moving back. You can turn the head towards the side wall if you wish. Releasing the fingertips inside. Walk yourself around. Just adjust the feet so the toes are in line. Lift and lengthen. Lift the navel as you fall, maybe walking the hands back a little. Even a little tripod hand here. Whoops, the fingers you can come in line with the heels, the elbows tuck in. So the forearms are rising vertically from the earth and almost pressing or pushing the earth forward with your hands. Great, walking yourself around towards the right, swiveling up the back heel here, and here we go, flipping the dog. You're going to float your right leg up behind you. Open up the hip, bend the knee, heel to the opposite sit bone. Keep the lower belly slightly lifted if you have a tendency to collapse or dump into the lower back, if that's a flexible part of your spine. Bend your left knee. Take the right toes to the floor. Turn the toes forward. And the right arm comes by the ear. Firm your left shoulder blade onto the upper back. Soften the left elbow. Flip it back. Hand to the floor, knee to nose, unfolding the leg, and step the right foot forward in between your hands. Stretch your fingertips forward, coming up into your warrior three once again. So from here, You could either take the foot to the floor, come into a standing forward fold, or take the left hand onto the hip, fingers wrapping around the front and the thumb on the back. So you can peel the hip up towards the ceiling for your Ardha Chandrasana on the inhale. And exhale, rotate it back down. So we use the abductor muscle, the outer leg muscle on the right leg, drawing down towards the ankle to help lift the hip, and then rotate it down. This is quite a strong little movement. Opening up into Ardha Chandrasana, rotating back. Take the left fingertips to the floor, bend your left knee, cross the thigh, take the ball of the left foot to the floor, start to actually take the top of the left foot to the floor because we're going to come down. Start to sit down. You might be able to bring your hands into prayer halfway down or 3/4 of the way down and settle without the hands, or take the hands to the floor. It's all good. So hopefully you're going to end up with your right foot over. Just going to turn to face you. Raising your mudra, open up the palms of the hands. Tilting, tipping your rainbow, you're going to tilt over towards the right. So each end of the rainbow is in the palms of your hands. Coming back up. Hands to the heart in prayer. Hands come behind you so you can lean back and release the bottom leg. Now the bottom leg, instead of coming vertically forward, you're going to take it slightly across to the right. Cross your thighs so you have your top knee above your bottom knee. Reach your left arm up and over. Maybe keep the fingers over the toes. Your hand can come onto the shin, or you might just be with hands either side. If the hands peep over the toes, then turn your right fingertips around, lift, and then come forward. A couple of breaths here. Make your way up out of this, floating up the left arm and taking it behind you, leaning back. So you come back into what's called Ardha Matsyendrasana, so this twist. Shift the weight forward, tuck your back toes, and then maybe as you straighten the legs, you'll end up with your right thigh crossed over the left. Possibly the heels could come to the floor, you could reach your fingertips forward, or you might be here with both knees bent. Slide the hands back a little bit so then we're underneath the shoulders. Bend both knees and you're going to uncross the legs and hop your feet together. Let yourself hang. Great. Lift and lengthen. Plant the palms down. Step back into step your right foot back. So we started this way. Just step your right foot back. Sweep your left leg up behind you. Open up the hip, bend the knee, curl the heel towards the opposite sit bone. Just gather up the lower ribs if you know you have a tendency to dump into the lower back. Bend your right knee. Take the ball of the left foot to the floor. Spin your feet around so they're in line. And take your left arm over by your ear. Soften your right elbow as you flip the dog. So both feet are firmly planted. Take the left hand back to the floor, knee to the navel, extending the leg and then stepping your left foot forward in between your hands. Reach your fingertips forward as you power yourself up into your supported warrior 3. Right hand comes onto your hip bone, fingers around the front, thumb on the back. Peel the hip up as you inhale, Ardha Chandrasana. Exhale, rotate that hip forward. Might not be such a huge external movement. Inhale. Try to engage the adductor muscle on the left leg so it draws down from the glute to the ankle. Exhale. So it's the strength of that outer supporting leg that allows you to open the hip, rotate it down, float the fingertips to the floor, square the hips as best you can. Bend both knees, tuck the right knee behind, crossing the thighs, top of the foot. Maybe the hands come into prayer to settle down, or use your hands to help you come down here. So the left foot will be over the top. Settle down through both sit bones. Hands to the heart in prayer. Raise your prayer. Open up the arms, holding your rainbow, and tilt your rainbow over to the left. And reaching out also, so both ends of the rainbow end in the palms of your hands. Coming back, hands into prayer. And as you take the hands behind you, lean back so you can release the bottom leg, stretch it across so it's diagonally across, and just adjust that thigh and shin so you have knee on top of knee. Right arm comes over as you twist towards the straight leg. Hand can come onto the shin, the ankle, or you can take the toes over the top of the foot. Turn your left fingertips forward, lengthen, and you might be upright here, or you might come a little bit further forward. If you're upright and reaching towards the shin is too much, just stay here. Hands either side of the hips. Couple of breaths here. Let's reach forward, coming up. Circle the hand behind you. Lean back so you can fold the bottom leg underneath you. Front foot is flat onto the floor. Maybe power yourself forward onto both legs. Tuck your back toes. So you've got your left leg in front of your right. Maybe the legs straighten, both feet are flat. You can reach your arms forward a little bit, or both legs can be bent. It is strong. It's fine if you bend your knees. If you're bending your knees, you might be able to pull the left hip back a little bit. Walk the fingertips back underneath the shoulders. If the knees are not bent, bend them now, and then hop your feet together and come and sit down on your heels. Seal the inner feet together. Separate the knees. This is Malasana. Release your tailbone. And as the heels and the hips sink, you may find you can come down onto your forearms. Not just stay up onto the hands. If you want to complete the pose, then roll each shoulder forward so the backs of the hands are on the earth. Or maybe reach around and catch the heels. Big toe joints press down into the earth. Maybe forehead comes down, but let the head go if you can. Stretching your arms out in front of you. Lift your head and roll yourself onto your sit bones. Even if you plop down, that's fine. Come towards the front of your mat. Curl your tailbone under. Release yourself down onto the earth. Draw your knees towards your chest, hug them in. And taking the knees wide, flex the feet. Happy baby. So maybe fingers over the toes. Or if that's causing your shoulder girdle to lift and your head to arch back, maybe hold on to the shins or the ankles. So rainbow ending in the soles of your feet. Let's tip the rainbow here as you rock from side to side. So each end of the rainbow pours into the sole of each foot. Coming back, draw the heels towards the sit bones. And let's take the hands between the thighs and the calf muscles, so holding on to the outer ankles. Maybe the soles of the feet come together. And you're going to let the base of your shin rest in your hands. It's like a Baddha Konasana. And releasing this. Draw your knees together. Place the feet to the floor one at a time. Place them hip distance apart. And your arms down by your sides. And unless there's anything else you feel you need to help you be more comfortable in Shavasana, and this may be where you want to stay with the knees bent. Stretch your legs forward if you wish. Snuggle and settle yourself down into the earth, lengthening your limbs away from your sockets. You could place your t-shirt or an eye bag over your eyes. And just follow a few conscious breaths to take you down into your final relaxation. Yes, you may wish to stay here a little longer. One of the benefits of practicing from home. If so, just let my final words wash over you. You can begin to make your way back, connecting to your breath, stretching out your fingers and toes, maybe rolling across the back of your skull. And when you're ready, curl your way over to the right side. Curl your knees up, make a little pillow for your head with your right upper arm. Left hand comes onto the floor by your face. Still with your eyes closed and in no hurry, make your way back to a comfortable seat. And your palms up. Take an inhale as your arms float up. Pads of the fingers come to touch. As you exhale, turn your palms away and brush the edges of your personal space. Take an inhale, palms up. Exhale, palms down. Brush and clear the space around you. Inhaling, palms up. Hands come into prayer. Bend the elbows and hover the heels of the hands above Sahasrara chakra. So just closing down the higher realms now. Thumbs past Anya chakra at your third eye. Vishuddha chakra at the base of the throat. Down to Anahata chakra where we join with one another. And with an open heart and a quiet mind. Gently open your eyes. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you'll join me again. We will be continuing these live streams throughout October and November, so please do join me. Thank you so much. Bye.